Now we're even.
You okay?
Fast and Furious is having a serious identity crisis, and honestly, I'm not even surprised anymore. When Vin Diesel said he wanted to bring Fast X Part 2 back to its street racing roots, I actually laughed out loud. And not because I hate the idea, I love it, but because after Fast X, that dream feels about as realistic as drifting a Honda Civic through space. Let's be real, this franchise started out small, almost cute, with street races, neon lights, and some basic heists, but now they're dropping cars out of planes, dragging safes through cities, and launching muscle cars into orbit. The jump from racing for pink slips to saving the world from nuclear threats happened so fast, even the NOS couldn't keep up. And now, after all that, Vin wants to downshift back to the streets? I respect the man's nostalgia, but Fast X made that almost impossible. The way Fast X ended was pure chaos. Tej, Han, and Ramsey's plane got blown out of the sky. Ames pulled out the classic "surprise, I'm evil" move, and Dom, my guy, was caught in a damn explosion with his son. This is where the franchise backed itself into a corner. If Fast X had just wrapped up neatly, bad guy defeated, family barbecue, maybe a few tears, Fast X Part 2 could have gone low-key. They could have brought it back to those sweaty LA nights where the biggest drama was who could gap who off the line. But no, Fast X ended like it was auditioning to be the next Avengers movie, and now Fast X Part 2 has to deal with that mess before it can do anything else. And I know some people will say they can just solve all that in the first 10 minutes. Sure, they could. Fast and Furious has never cared about logic or physics. So why not rush through a plane crash, a double agent twist, and a damn explosion before the title card even drops? And even if they do that, the tone is already set. We're in action thriller territory now, not tuner car drama. Vin keeps talking about getting back to real street racing and practical stunts. I appreciate the dream, but it's like trying to turn a rocket into a skateboard. You can't unsee what Fast and Furious has become. You can't convince me that Dom, after saving the world 10 times over, is suddenly going to care about who's fastest down a quarter-mile stretch. Now, there is one small loophole here, and I do mean small. If they wrap up all the Fast X cliffhangers super fast, and I mean speedrun that plot like it's a Need for Speed campaign, then they might be able to shift gears into a quieter, street-level second half. Maybe Dom, worn out from explosions and betrayals, decides all he wants is one last night on the streets. One last race for old time's sake. It's cheesy, but at least it fits the vibe Vin keeps chasing. To be fair, there's one thing that does give me hope. Vin's Instagram hinted that Dom's old 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS454 is coming back. Now, that's not just a car, that's a time machine. That thing belongs to the era when Fast and Furious was about cars, not tanks. If they bring it back, it could mean they really are serious about getting back to the basics. But I'm keeping my expectations low because I've been tricked before. Fast X Part 2 might sprinkle in some street racing, but it's never going to be the way it was. You can't build a whole meal out of one side dish. The franchise is too big, too ridiculous, and too hooked on adrenaline. Even if Dom spends 30 minutes racing old rivals, you know they're going to end up jumping that Chevelle off a collapsing building into a helicopter piloted by Jason Momoa. And you know what? Maybe that's okay. Fast and Furious has always been ridiculous, and that's why we love it. Trying to suddenly act like it's 2001 again might just feel as fake as Dom catching a car with his bare hands. The franchise grew up, for better or worse, and you can't ungrow it just because you missed the good old days. So yeah, I get why Vin wants to go back. I get the nostalgia, the longing for simpler times when family meant barbecues and not global conspiracies. But the truth is, Fast X Part 2 can't be what Fast 1 was. It can't even pretend to be. The best they can do is sprinkle some old school flavor into the madness, maybe one good street race, one nice shot of glowing tail lights, before the explosions start again. Now, I've followed this franchise for years, and at this point I feel like I'm part of the family. The crazy stunts, the one-liners, the family speeches, love them or hate them, they always show up. But here we are, almost 2 years after Fast X, and guess what? Fast X Part 2 hasn't even started filming. Not one camera has rolled. So why the hold-up? According to Alan Ritchson, who you might know as Reacher or the guy who played Amos in Fast X, the biggest hurdle isn't the script, the locations, or even Vin Diesel's tank tops. it's scheduling. Turns out, when you fill a movie with the busiest people in Hollywood, finding a time when they're all free is basically impossible. Alan broke it down in an interview, and honestly, it makes sense. You've got Dwayne Johnson, who's always either in a jungle, in a gym, or launching some new tequila. Then there's Vin Diesel, who treats this franchise like his personal baby. Jason Momoa? The man is Aquaman, Lobo, and probably filming 5 other projects we don't even know about. And Alan himself. Reacher keeps him plenty busy. Add in Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Brie Larson, Jason Statham, Charlize Theron, and Gal Gadot, and you're trying to coordinate the world's most chaotic group chat. The part that really gets me is that this isn't just a regular sequel. This is supposed to be the finale, the end of the road, Universal's big farewell to Dom and his endlessly expanding family. So they can't just slap it together and hope for the best. They need everyone back. No stunt doubles standing in for Statham, no blurry cameos from behind Vin's shoulder. They need the whole crew, front and center. That's a tall order when half your cast is headlining their own franchises. It's like trying to plan a family reunion where half your cousins are Avengers and the other half are stuck on press stores in different time zones. What's wild is how fast everything seemed to move after Fast X. Dwayne Johnson popped up in the mid-credits scene, everyone freaked out, and then they announced Hobbs and Reyes, a spin-off with The Rock and Momoa going head-to-head. But then the box office numbers came in, and suddenly Universal wasn't so sure about spending another fortune on a side project. So Hobbs and Reyes got tossed aside, and all the pressure landed on Fast X Part 2. At first, they were aiming for April 2025. Now, it's pushed to sometime in 2026, and even that feels optimistic. If they can't lock down a start date, that release window is about to be as solid as a wet paper towel. And let's be real, this isn't just a scheduling headache. This is Fast and Furious, a franchise that's been fueled by drama behind the scenes almost as much as the action on screen. Vin and The Rock's feud is legendary at this point. Momoa came in and chewed every bit of scenery in Fast X, and now they need him to do it again. Plus, the longer they wait, the older everyone gets and the harder it becomes to sell Vin Diesel jumping between skyscrapers like it's a normal Tuesday. If you ask me, Universal probably thought they could wrap this up quick. One final blast of action, one last barbecue speech, roll credits, but they underestimated just how hard it is to wrangle so many A-listers at once. It's not just about signing contracts, it's about syncing calendars across multiple continents, multiple studios, and about a dozen egos. And honestly, I don't blame the cast for being busy. When you've got superhero gigs, streaming deals, and personal brands to maintain, it's hard to drop everything for a movie that's been going for over decades. But the longer this drags out, the harder it's going to be to keep fans interested. So, what's next? If they can somehow pull off this scheduling miracle, maybe they start filming in late 2025. Best case, the movie sneaks into theaters by the end of 2026. Worst case, they miss that window, and we're looking at Fast X Part 2 arriving in 2027 or later. For a franchise that's all about speed, this delay feels painfully slow. But hey, maybe they'll work it out. After all, if Dom and his team can drag us safe through the streets of Rio, fly cars into space, and survive about 50 near-death experiences, surely Universal can figure out how to get everyone in the same room, right? Or maybe they just need to make Fast and Furious Zoom meeting. It's not as exciting, but at least they'd all show up. Fast X Part 2 is either going to blow our minds or break the laws of physics all over again. Either way, I'm here for it. Hit that like button if you're ready for more fast chaos, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. This ride isn't over yet.